Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Evelina and today I'm really excited to share with you introduction to Ayurveda. Ayurveda is something what deeply changed my life in aspect of physical, mental and emotional healing, in aspect of simply understanding myself so much better. This video is a live recording of an Ayurvedic class which I shared on the recent yoga teacher training. I hope you will enjoy it and that you will find a lot of good information for yourself. Good morning, everyone. Hope you are doing well today. Today we will be talking about Ayurveda. You had already a little bit of introduction with Rohil into the Ayurvedic eating principles. Today we'll explore a little bit more about Ayurvedic lifestyle, and also we will analyze three different body-mind types, which will give us a beautiful understanding how we can bring ourselves back to balance whenever some intense changes occur in our life. So let's begin sitting in an upright position and closing your eyes. Bringing awareness to the foundation of your spine, to your tailbone, and sending the tailbone down towards the ground. By the same thing, just finding stability, groundedness in your posture. Draw your awareness upwards throughout the spine, vertebra by vertebra, creating more space, more length between the vertebrae. Reaching with your awareness all the way up to the top of your head, taking a long deep inhalation, and as you exhale, releasing a sigh out, just letting go of any tension. And now let's take a couple of deep breaths all together. Long, steady inhalations, allowing your belly, your rib cage, your chest to expand as your lungs are expanding. And as you're exhaling, observe how your chest, your rib cage, your belly are softly coming back in effortlessly. Inhale into your belly, ribs, chest. Exhale out of your chest, ribs, belly. Inhale into your belly, ribs, chest. Exhale out of your chest, ribs, belly. Inhale into your belly, ribs, chest. Exhale out of your chest, ribs, and belly. Come back to your normal breath. Bring your awareness to the center of your chest, to the center of your heart, and reconnect once again with that intention which you set up at the beginning of our teacher training course. Just remember yourself this 2 weeks ago, sitting down by the river in the Pashraman. Just remember what you set up for yourself for this journey of learning, of diving deeply into the practice of yoga. What was your intention? Reconnecting with that intention and allowing it to be your guide through any challenges, any moments of stress, tension. Whenever you would feel overwhelmed, just pull yourself back to that intention, which comes straight from your heart. Let's open the class with 3 Oms all together, bringing your palms in front of your chest, taking a long deep breath in for Om. Slowly opening your eyes. Let's begin with an introduction, just a brief introduction into Ayurveda. So what is Ayurveda? How we can put it simply into words? Ayurveda is a holistic health system which comes from India. It's very old, it's over 5,000 years old. The word Ayurveda, can you hear me? Okay. Okay, now. Nice. The word Ayurveda comes from 2 words, Ayus, meaning life, and Veda, meaning knowledge. So you can think of Ayurveda as a knowledge of life, science of life. Ayurveda mostly is a way of living. So I like to think of it as a lifestyle instead of just a way of finding our healing, finding a medicine for something once we are already not well. Of course, it also has ways for us to heal, and that's an amazing beauty of this practice. However, it works in the most powerful way if we keep living according to certain principles, and by the same thing, we're just preventing a disease from arising or an imbalance from arising if we live in a state of balance throughout our life. So Ayurveda has very different approach to healing as well than our nowadays most common medicine system. I personally grew up in this most common medicine system when I would, get sick, and then my parents would take me to the doctor. I would go to the doctor, get some prescription, take certain pills, go to pharmacy, get pills, and just keep popping in pills, kind of, without really understanding what happens. Why am I having this health problem? And oftentimes it would be different recurring health problems, different chronic problems, which would keep coming again and again. And I would never really get into what is the reason for it. How can I remove that reason so that it can stop happening again and again? I would just put the pill over the uncomfortable symptom. So the symptom would go for some time. I wouldn't feel it. I would be able to continue with my daily activities as normal. However, later the problem would come back again. So that's what this pill would do. It would just cover the symptoms, but it doesn't get into the root cause of the problem. And this is the difference would come along with Ayurveda. Ayurveda wouldn't have a pill or a medication, of course, traditionally. Nowadays, everything keeps changing. We have all the new age things. But the main thing of Ayurveda would be that there is no medicine for certain diseases, but we are finding medicine for certain people with certain diseases. And if you see the difference, let's say both of girls, they have same issue with the digestion, the same kind of digestive problem. if I will give them the same pill, okay, it may cover symptoms, but maybe her reason would be, let's say, connected to something what she's consuming in her diet, what doesn't suit her. And maybe the other person's reason will be nothing connected to the diet, but maybe it will be connected to the stress level, to the lifestyle. So basically what we want to do in Ayurveda, we want to understand what is the root cause of any health problem which is arising, and then we want to eliminate the root cause. And the elimination of the root cause will not happen by taking anything external, by adding anything extra, but by removing something what just doesn't work well for us. So that removal of the root cause can happen through the two things. We can change something in our diet or change something in our lifestyle. Changing something in the diet or in the lifestyle to remove the root cause. Of course, this means that it's quite more time consuming than going to the pharmacy and taking a medication quickly to get rid of symptoms. Also, nowadays we are all living in this fast-paced life. Everyone is rushing, and also we are not being taught different kind of solutions. So we are just following the things which we find that they can be helpful for us. Here in Ayurvedic approach, we want to really learn to reconnect with ourselves, to become aware of what is happening inside of us, to be able to read different signals which our body, our mind are sending us. The signals would come maybe on the physical body. We need to learn what the signals means instead of just suppressing the symptom, because the symptoms are there as a signal for us that, hey, something is not working well for you. You need to change something in order to feel better. Also, the signals can be mental, can be emotional. Maybe I will feel a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, a lot of anger, a lot of fear, a lot of insecurities. All these different things are also signals which Ayurveda helps us to learn how to read them and how to react in a proper way so that we can help ourselves. So Ayurveda and yoga are also sister sciences. They go very well together. They both teach us actually really this reconnection to ourselves, this ability to observe instead of reacting straight away. Yes, so according to Ayurveda, everything in our world, including also ourselves, so our bodies, the food which we consume, the nature around us, even the emotions which we are experiencing, all of these things are based on 5 different elements. We're going to get to elements soon, but I just want you to understand the concept. So everything is based on 5 different elements. Don't write them yet, just try to listen for a moment. We have space, we have air, we have fire, water, and earth. So all these elements are in our bodies, but also in the nature around us, in everything basically what is surrounding us. And as we keep going through the life, we are continuously kind of exchanging the amount of elements. Let's say I'm spending a lot of time in the very hot climate, which is like fiery climate, let's call it. My heat, my own fire will rise up. I'm going to very, very windy climate, dry climate. Also, my wind, my space element will be influenced. They will rise up. Then maybe I'm in some time of my life when I'm really very, very depressed, sad, lot of darkness kind of come to my life. I'm not having much energy, I'm not exercising, I'm not moving much, I'm maybe gaining a few extra kilograms. Then this heaviness comes to my life. So then this earth element is rising. And I'm becoming just over heavy, let's say, emotionally, physically, we can see it from different ways. So I just want you to see how all different elements are continuously influencing each other. So none of the elements remains the same throughout our life, they are continuously changing. What is influencing then our elements? Definitely the climate, the conditions of the weather around us, definitely the food which we consume, definitely emotions which we experience, even people who we have in our near environment. You can just think of you being with someone who's, again, this very fiery person, who has a lot of energy, is very enthusiastic, confident. When you are with them, you just kind of pick up a little bit of this fire some way or the other. And then sometimes you are with a friend who's just like, oh, I don't want to go anywhere. You wanted to go to exercise, but they just want to sit and watch Netflix, eat some ice creams. Then you'll be like, okay, let's do it. Then also you're getting a little bit of this vibe. So also people who we have in our nearest environment are also influencing the level of our 5 elements. What did we say? We said about the climate, the weather conditions, the food, people, of course, activities which we do through our days. So all the things will be continuously influencing and changing in the small or in the bigger way the level of our elements. So now, at the moment when we are born, each of us has our own unique proportion of these 5 elements, which will later on change again, being influenced by all different things. So let's, just get to it. We have Prakriti, which means our constitution. So you can think of it as a level of your doshas at the moment when you are born. This would be, of course, influenced by our parents, by the time of pregnancy, by the weather conditions, by everything what is around you as basically your body is slowly forming. So that would be our constitution, the level of the doshas at our birth. And it would be something kind of long term. So you know that we have some qualities which would be changing. For example, maybe we can have, let's say, less fat at some point of our life, then we can have more fat. But we cannot have thin bones, small body frame, and then we cannot become like with a very big body frame, right? This will last forever, kind of. Like looking at Rohil, for example, as an example. He has, like this long arms, long legs, he's very tall. Now he's not going to become short and with the thick bones, let's call it, like with a very thick body frame. He's going to be always this tall person with the long arms. They're not going to get shorter. And the same for me. I'm like a little more short, a little bit more meat here and there. I'm not going to become like very, very tiny. Does that make sense? Cool. But different qualities, of course, will be changing. However, these qualities, which are kind of from the beginning of our life, they can tell us what is our prakriti, what is our body, mind, constitution. Then as we are continuously influenced by all different elements, then the change happens. So now at this moment, my current state of the doshas is called Vikriti. Vikriti you can think of, just the state of the doshas now. Sorry, doshas, we didn't get to doshas. The state of your elements at this moment. So Vikriti will be continuously changing, and Prakriti is the same. Is this what you were when you think of 5 elements at the moment of your birth? Then this is what you are moment by moment, which is continuously changing. Okay? So let's say current state of the dosha, of the elements. And just write doshas in the brackets. We're going to understand what does it mean now. So let's understand the 5 elements. We have our space element, air, fire, water, and earth. Now these 5 elements are pairing with each other and forming doshas. Dosha, which means energy. So we have space and air coming together and giving us Vata dosha. We have fire and water giving us Pitta dosha. And water and earth coming together, giving us Kapha. Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Now, when you think of Vata, space and air together, we can remember it as wind energy. This will be also very helpful for us to connect it with different qualities. Then our fire and water coming together give us Pitta dosha. Pitta, we can think of it as fire. So of course there is also water element in it, but when we think of it as fire, again, it will give us more way to simplify in our minds. And then we have water and earth coming together, which is Kapha, which is earth energy. So thinking of it as wind, fire, and earth. Now, when you will think of the wind qualities, you can think of wind being, how is wind? Who tell me how is wind? What are the qualities of wind? Sorry? Cold. Cold, you said, right? Yeah. Definitely. Wind is cold or cool. Is it light or heavy? Light. Is it, let's say, like stagnant, always at the same place, or is it movable? Is it changing? Yeah. We call it movable. Change. Movable or mobile and then changing. So you never know actually where this wind will go. It's kind of unpredictable, we can also say. And is it dry or oily more? Dry. Like if you are exposed to the very windy conditions, maybe your lips will start breaking, your skin gets dry. So wind has this dry quality as well. So now, if I would be born with a lot of wind qualities, so my prakriti, let's say, would be Vata, I would maybe be more exactly on this long arms, let's say, gentle body frame, so more light body frame. We call it in Polish like thin bones, like you can call the bones to be thick bones or more small bones. Here we think of more like small bones, let's say, so more narrow, more light body frame. Can think of the hair qualities, which would be also a little more thin, maybe more dry. All these qualities would be there. Then even like the facial features, it would be also more narrow, let's say. Lips would be more narrow comparing to, like maybe Kapha, which is more earth element, would have more like thicker, let's say, facial features. And now as I'm going also into the mental, into the emotional ways, when our Vata is in a state of balance, this would be they would have beautiful qualities of being artistic, being very creative. So all this wind in the mind is actually allowing different ideas to flow when it's in the state of balance. However, so it would be a lot of people who are artistic, who are creating, maybe musicians, maybe painters, maybe writers. They would have all these ideas continuously flowing in their mind. Now, what happens if there is too much Vata? So there is too much wind in my mind, too much wind in my body. Physically, we can think of it as too much wind, too much dryness, lightness, cold. My skin maybe will start getting dry. My hair will become very dry. There is dryness also inside of my body. Maybe my joints are like, literally cracking. Like the cupboard. When the cupboard would be cracking, it means you need to oil it up a little bit. Similarly with our joints. When the joints are cracking, you feel this dryness literally in your joints. That's when it also needs some nourishment. What happens on the inside of the body? If there is too much wind, maybe I keep getting bloated a lot, I keep having a lot of gas, excessive gas. Maybe my digestion is also disturbed, so we were having this continuous change. So also the change is happening in our digestion. Maybe one day it's okay. Then second day you struggle with diarrhea. Next day maybe you have constipation. You never know how your digestion will be. If it will be okay when you eat, it will be not okay. It's always up and down. In Ayurveda, we bring in a lot of attention to balance our digestive fire. So this digestive fire is something what we call Agni. This is Agni. Yes, so Agni is our digestive fire. This is something, if it's working in a strong and balanced way, it helps us to digest food, it helps us to eliminate the toxins, also to absorb the nutrients. So if this fire is disturbed, then all different processes of the body will be ultimately disturbed. As the level of the toxins will be growing in the body, we'll not be able to eliminate them. We will start to develop ama or toxins within our body, and it will lead to imbalance and the disease. So in Ayurveda, we are bringing a lot of attention to balance that digestive fire. And we know also very well that this digestive fire, digestion, is also very deeply connected with our emotions. So whenever you feel that something maybe is not good, not really flowing well in your life, maybe you're very stressed, maybe you're very sad, you're going through some very intense emotional period, your digestion will be usually disturbed as well. Maybe you cannot go to the toilet, or maybe you keep going to the toilet again and again and again. So this is also very, very deeply connected to our emotions. All right, so now let's understand what happens if I have too much wind, also emotionally, mentally. I can have, as we said, a lot of amazing ideas coming to my head, but if there is just too much of this wind, there are too many ideas, I cannot focus. I'm falling into anxiety. I'm just feeling like my mind keeps running, and it never stops even for a moment. Maybe you're having one idea, you're starting a certain project, but then you are quitting it after a couple of days, you're starting new idea, new amazing idea, which, wow, it will work. So you start a new project. And then again. So we don't have this stability of our kapha, which would give us some groundedness, some, let's say, more stability just to keep working on things for a longer period of time, because we keep jumping from one idea to the other. You can think also of yourself maybe grabbing one book, then you leave this book, then you start second book, third book. You have around your bed maybe like 5 different books which you keep reading, but you never completed any of them. That would be also an example of this, just too much vata in the mind. Our vata mind is also usually running away to the future. So it would be continuously thinking, worrying what's going to happen in the future, planning, like all the time running away to the future. What is causing this vata to rise, and how can we balance it? So Ayurveda is very logical, very simple, and I really like this way of thinking because we actually naturally know it. Let's say if I have too much of cold, I need to bring something opposite. If I'm too cold, I need to warm up. If I am too light, I need a little bit of heaviness. If I am there's too much movement, I need some stillness. Too many changes, again, I need maybe some kind of routine. If, there is like everything is up and down in my life, I need to find some balance in here. If there is dryness, I need more of the oiliness. So these things are very intuitive as well. We know it, but we just, sometimes don't apply it to our life. So what is increasing vata? Definitely being in the dry weather, cold weather. So all the things which we explained here as the qualities, if it's happening a lot of that in our environment around us, then our vata is rising. And as I mentioned at the beginning, the level of the doshas keeps changing through our life, through our year. So maybe in the time, let's say you live in Europe, and the autumn time would be the time when there is more vata naturally in the air, comparing to summer. Then you have in the autumn time more dryness, a little bit more coldness. You are changing into new season also. So you may feel that actually, yes, your skin starts to get dry. You're starting to maybe overthink. You're just like getting a little out of balance in that way. If you have also naturally a lot of vata. Now, the food, which is influencing our vata, which would be increasing the vata, would be, again, everything with this dry, light, cold qualities. So all kind of raw things, a lot of raw vegetables, raw salads, and all these kind of things which we often consider healthy. Maybe granola and dry cookies, some dry snacks, all of the raw and dry things, also fruits and smoothies, everything what is cold, what is dry, what is not cooked, this would be actually increasing our vata. So it can be good for us to the certain state, but if we overdo it, then we can start having symptoms that, oh, this is too much. You need something a little of opposite qualities. You need something more nourishing, more warming, a little bit of the healthy oils, so that you can get to the state of balance instead of developing too much dryness in the body and mind. Now, about our emotions. If I am, let's say, having now a lot of changes, let's say I just quit my job, I came to Bali, and I'm just, maybe I left my relationship. So there are so many changes like all together happening in my life. Definitely my Vata will also increase if there are a lot of changes. Now, how we can bring our Vata to balance? First of all, we want to avoid these things which are increasing it. So avoiding too much of the cold and raw and dry things. It doesn't mean we cannot have them, but we have to have them in moderation. So just maybe instead of having a full bowl of raw salad, you would have just a little bit of salad on the side, and then majority of your meal would be more warm, cooked with the high quality oils, and rich in some more grounding, more heavy kind of maybe vegetables. We can think of pumpkin or sweet potatoes, different kind of curries, different kind of warming soups. All these things which we would naturally kind of crave in the autumn time, winter time, to just warm up a little bit. This would be very balancing when we have too much vata in the body. When I said pumpkin, sweet potatoes, we also can think of it as vegetables which will grow like on the ground, right? Under the ground, on the ground. It's also more grounding at the same time. Now, spices. As our vata is very cold, they need to warm up. So any kind of warming spices would be very beneficial for them. For example, ginger, cinnamon, clove, all the spices which you would add maybe to your tea in autumn time when you are really cold, that would be nice to add to your cooking or to just make herbal teas, including warming spices. So I mentioned ginger, cinnamon, clove, cardamom, also cumin seeds, cumin. Cumin is also very known for its balancing qualities for our digestive system. If you feel like you are bloated after your meal, you could add a little bit of cumin to your cooking, and this will help you with the bloating problem. Another thing, actually, now as I'm on bloating, is called hing. Hing, or also there is other name, asafoetida. Hing or asafoetida is also great to support our bloating problem, especially if we are cooking some kind of lentils or beans. Adding just a tiny, tiny bit of it will help us to digest the beans, the lentils better. So they would use it in Ayurvedic cooking, in Indian cooking. There are also different herbs which can support our balancing of the vata. So for example, ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is also herb which is very known for its balancing qualities, which help to lower down vata. Especially if we struggle with insomnia, we are just going to bed and overthinking, the mind is not stopping. Again, too many thoughts, too much happening in the head. That's when this ashwagandha in the evening times, maybe we can have it with some warm water and some kind of oil because it will help us to absorb it. So maybe you would put a drop of ghee. We'll get into the oils now. Or you could have it with milk as well. Milk, actually, it would be the thing which we would use to support the absorption of different herbs because we need a little bit of fat in order to absorb the herbs. And if you are vegan, you can always find a way. Maybe you can add tiny bit of, let's say, coconut oil, almond oil, just some tiny bit of oil would support the absorption of the herb. Yes? Yeah. You could take it every day, but for some time. So you wouldn't take it, let's say, every day for half a year. Because it would be just too much. We don't want to be taking it continuously. That's also the thing in Ayurveda, that everything keeps changing, we said, right? So we are using different herbs, different foods whenever we need them. But if I am, let's say, using something, at some point it will be okay, it helps me, and now it's balanced. But if I keep using it again, it will just become too much at some point. So that's also one of the main aspects of Ayurveda is moderation. It's just observation and moderation. So we always want to observe, okay, what my body needs now. I can give it to my body, help myself to get to a state of balance, but then I don't need to keep doing it continuously because later on maybe I will need something different to actually balance the other imbalance. Does that make sense? Any other questions so far? Okay. So that would be about herbs a little bit, about the spices. Now also oils. As our Vata is dry, it's actually the most dry of these three doshas. They need the largest amount, of course still moderation, but the largest amount comparing to other two doshas of oils. And we always talk about the high quality oils whenever we're talking about oils. So of course we never want to consume any kind of hydrogenated oils, trans fats and so on. We want to stay also away from refined vegetable oils, which are actually usually added to any kind of mass production things, which are cheap, and they also prolong the shelf life of different products. So ideally, I think Rohil spoke about it already, to read ingredients. Whenever you buy a product, check, turn them behind, check what are the ingredients. If you see that there are maybe trans fats, hydrogenated vegetable oils, different kind of refined vegetable oils, such as canola, palm oil, sunflower oil, soybean oil, which is refined. What happens when these oils are refined? They are going through a lot of different chemical processes so that they can last for a very long time. And that's at the same time, they are very highly chemically processed. At the same time, you will not know that this oil gets spoiled, kind of, because you would smell it and it doesn't have really any aroma, any smell. It's just like very pale. On the other hand, if you would have the oil, which is not highly processed, which is much closer to its natural state, it would have some kind of smell, some kind of aroma, maybe a little different colors from the bottle to bottle and so on. And it would also not last for a very long time. It would get spoiled after maybe a couple of weeks or something. Yeah, and this brings me to one thought which actually my teacher used to say when I was doing my Ayurvedic course. He would say that you should always know when your food was last time alive. If we know that the food was alive not too long ago, then it means that it's good. It's more closer towards life. If it was alive, maybe the can from supermarket which says like it's 5 years expiry date of some kind of beans in the package, then it will mean that okay, 5 years from now it can still last. When it was actually this bean as a plant which was growing somewhere, when it was alive, it could be really like such a huge amount of time ago. And what this teaches us is just that basically everything has some time when it's alive, when it has some value, some life also in it. But then after some time, it just becomes kind of chemically processed thing. Like when we think of these beans in a can as an example. Yes?
What about frozen things and highly pressured, like
Hmm.
preserved, but it's like for cans or like frozen things in the freezer that vegetables can maintain after
Hmm.
some use?
Yes, definitely. I mean, frozen would be better. Also, especially like we want to think what we are freezing as well. Of course, if I am just buying frozen vegetable from the supermarket, which is cut already in pieces, and it's also very cheap coming from the mass production, again, it will probably not have much value. But if I am just taking my vegetables or some from some bio market, organic market, and so on. I know the vegetables are of high quality. They are not being sprayed with too many chemicals, which of course can be difficult nowadays, but always trying to find more natural variation. Then of course this will have much more value and we can freeze it, it's all right. However, in Ayurveda, we would ideally have fresh things. So this will always have much more value. That will be the highest nutritional value. But definitely if choosing the canned thing, which is like mass production thing, versus your veggies from the freezer, I would definitely go for veggies from the freezer. Yeah. And this brings us also to different parts of the world. So maybe, yes, like Ita is from Poland as well. In Poland, in the winter time, nothing grows there. So you cannot like harvest some fresh vegetables really. So then we need to find better ways to preserve things. And that we can also think of what our grandparents used to do. Like my grandma, she would always have this, kapusta kiszona, this cabbage, which is like pickled kind of cabbage, lot of different pickles, lot of different vegetables, which they would, just like pickle them with salt, maybe with vinegar, and it would last. So it wouldn't have be, like processed with different chemicals and then shut into the can, but just in a simple way, using this natural kind of things which will preserve it, such as salt, different herbs, different spices. Yes, so that would be the thing in the colder parts of the world when we have 4 seasons. That definitely we cannot get our, let's say now, strawberries. But we can have maybe strawberry jam, which we make in the summer, where it can stay in the jar. It's definitely better thing. Okay. So yes, which oils would be the best for Vata? If I have too much dryness, I need some oil which is very nourishing. And also if I have a lot of cold, I would rather choose more heating oil. So there are different types of oils which have different qualities. We have our ghee. Ghee, which is a clarified butter. Ghee is actually used in Ayurveda in many different ways. It would be used for cooking, but it also would be used to mix it with different herbs to prepare different herbal medications. It helps us to absorb the herb. It supports also health of our gut. So it's considered one of really like very, very nourishes, very supportive things for our health. Of course, when we talk about ghee, we want to think of the highest quality thing. So ideally coming from grass-fed cows, ideally coming from really high quality product. So we can also make our own ghee. We prepare always ghee with rohil at home. We just buy the grass-fed butter, then we put it in the pot, and then you cook it on the small fire for maybe like 15 minutes. And after 15 minutes, there will be a residue which stays on bottom, and on top it will be like just fat which remains. Then you would strain it and then remove this residue. The residue has different kind of things which makes also butter more difficult for us to digest. So for example, lactose would be also inside of this residue, which we would remove. This makes ghee also much easier to digest for anybody. It's also easy to digest for people who have lactose intolerance, who cannot digest milk products. Ghee would be considered actually tridoshic. It would be considered good for each of the 3 doshas. And our Vata needs the most, as I mentioned, of oils in general. Then Pitta will be less. Kapha will be very, very tiny bit of oils. Now there are also different oils which we can use. We always talk again, I just gave a little speech before about oils, but always when I say any kind of oil, I'm thinking of a high quality one, not refined, not processed. I mean, some processing is always there, as you have to put it from the seed, for example, into the oil, but we don't want any kind of chemical processes along with it. So good way to check if your oil is natural, you can just check on the bottle if it's what is written on the bottle. If it's written that the oil is cold pressed, maybe organic, maybe virgin, extra virgin, all these words will ensure you that it's much higher quality. But if you see that it's refined, that it's hydrogenated, and so on, then we definitely don't want to put this into our body. We have sesame oil, which would be used to balance our Vata. It has very warming qualities. So if we use sesame oil, we'll help, first of all, to nourish the skin, to nourish our gut as well, to support the digestion. We can use oils for cooking. We can, of course, use them, just consume them, put them internally, but we can also apply them on our body. So our skin actually has an amazing ability to absorb whatever we put on it. So if you would go to Ayurvedic treatment, let's say you would do panchakarma, which is like Ayurvedic detoxification program, you would actually get a lot of oils put onto your skin in a form of massage. So the oils can be absorbed into the body because ultimately they end up inside of the body. And that's why also in Ayurveda we would use only natural things to put on our body. We wouldn't use any kind of chemicals which you wouldn't actually be able to, let's say, digest because ultimately it goes inside the body. So are ideally choosing what is only natural. And here another teacher had a nice way to explain it that if you're not able to eat it, you wouldn't like to put it on your body. So if you would know that if I would eat this kind of cosmetic, which I'm using, and I would get sick, then probably I don't want to put it on my body. But if I can use, for example, sesame oil for cooking and I can put it on my skin, or I can use coconut oil for cooking, I can also put it on my skin. I can use maybe cacao butter, I can put it on my skin, nothing will happen, right? So ultimately we want also use natural things to put on our body. Yes, sesame oil would be example of the most balancing oil for our Vata. And then like a Western example could be almond oil. Almond oil is also warming, it's also nourishing. And it's like a, yeah, let's say Western type of the oil because sesame oil is not always accessible. So again, Ayurveda is Indian kind of knowledge, right? So a lot of things, a lot of herbs, spices, oils, of course, comes from India. However, you can explore what is in your part of the world, in your country, what naturally grows there, what kind of herbs, spices, what kind of oils are made in your part of the world in the most natural and healthy way. And then you can understand the quality also. Is it more heating? Is it more cooling? How would it affect me?
If there is something like king in more like Polish area.
I don't know if I like hink, I'm not sure. But cumin you can get for sure. Cumin seeds, yeah. Cumin would be also very good for that. So I could just say, suggest to use cumin. Yeah. Hink, it would be, you could get all these kind of spices in some kind of Indian shops. You know, like you can always, like many cities actually all around the world have some Indian shop. And in this Indian shop, you can find like thousands different kind of spices. So yeah, if you're interested, you can always check in the shops for the spices.
What about olive oil?
Olive oil, we'll get to it in the Pitta. Yeah, olive oil is great oil, definitely, of course, but we want it onto more cooling side. Yeah. Okay, so let's summarize it. We have our Vata, which is too much happening just in the head, too much dryness, lightness, cold in the body, in the mind, too many changes. So we want to bring opposite qualities. We want to have some kind of routine, I would say. Routine is very important for Vata. So ideally waking up every day at the same time, sleeping at the same time, having like proper amount of time to rest, to sleep, having meals also at the regular times, not skipping your meals here and there, but having the regular meals routine at the same time. Just as much routine as we can will be very beneficial because if there are all these changes, we want some stability in our life. So routine is great for Vata. Regarding food, we want to avoid anything what is cold, dry, very light. We want more nourishing and warming things rich in warming spices and high quality oils. Okay, any questions about Vata? Great, let's move to Pitta. So Pitta, fire. When we think of a fire, what are the qualities of fire? Yes, hot. Hot is also light, similarly like our Vata. It's not heavy, so it has more lightness. You can call it sharp, intense. Powerful. You can think of, yeah, it doesn't have so much dryness quality. It's more towards the oily side, actually, considered in Ayurveda. However, in a moderate way. So now let's just compare first Prakriti, so the state of our doshas at the beginning of our life. If I am born Vata, we said it would be this very thin frame, very delicate hair, delicate features of the face. Our Pitta would be a little stronger, so Pitta would have this fire. They would be maybe a little more muscular. They would be maybe, just like stronger in their body already. Their skin might be a little bit more oily. There will be just like not that tiny and light and slim. They will be more, let's call it healthy in this way. Of course, Vata can be also healthy if it's in state of balance. I just mean like about the way how the body looks like.
Like chunky?
A little more, but not so much. This one we will go to Kapha. So it's like step by step. Our Vata will be the most like narrow body frame, the tiny, tiny bones and everything. Then Pitta is a little stronger, and Kapha would be the strongest of three of them. The most stable, let's say. You think of Vata, it can be kind of blown with the wind. Stronger wind will come and shoop, it will fly away somewhere. But Kapha will stay steady. Okay, so now what happens if I have too much? Sorry, not when I have too much. What happens if I am Prakriti? We said already. Then how would be the temperament and the personality of someone who has a lot of Pitta when they are in state of balance? They would be very confident people, very strong, powerful with their voice, strong and powerful just in the way they are. Sometimes you enter a room and there would be one person talking in a bigger group, and you would see like this person has really fire in them. They are like very strong, very confident, outgoing, open, free to share whatever comes to their mind. So this would be example of Pitta. Pitta would be often excellent leader as well, because as they have so much confidence, so much fire to build their project, also people around them would look at them and they would trust them. They would be like, okay, this person really knows what they want, they know what they do, we trust in them. And that's why they would be excellent leaders. What happens if there is too much Pitta? So imagine the fire is just growing too much. What can happen if you are burning, let's say, physically? What can we feel?
Anger?
Anger, yeah, can be. That would be emotionally, definitely.
Like burning sensation somewhere outside or inside?
Yeah, burning. Burning can be definitely. So we can think of the fire. Fire is hot, it's burning. So let's say there is too much fire inside me, maybe I'm feeling hot all the time. Excessive sweating, continuously feeling just heat coming. The heat can be also inside of our digestive system. So there is digestive fire, it's just too strong. Imagine you just eat something, the fire burns it instantly and it just goes through you. So you go to the toilet right after the meal maybe. Just like very fast metabolism. If it's too strong. If it's good and strong, then it would be nicely regular and strong digestion. But if it's too much, then it just burns too quickly, and we are also not able to get time to absorb the nutrients at the same time. So yeah, that would be about the digestion. Now, maybe this heat from the digestive fire is rising up. So literally you can feel heartburn. We also call it heartburn. Like the words itself have this flame in it, this burning in it, inflammations, any kind of redness on the skin, on the face. All of this would be signal of some imbalance of Pitta. And we remember that we have all these three doshas, which keeps changing. So some moments of your life, maybe you will have imbalance of Vata, the others of Pitta. Maybe both of them will come at some moment. So we need to always understand what is happening and how can I react to balance it. Oftentimes also inflammations inside the body, maybe the UTI, urinary tract infections. This is also burning in the bladder, literally. Maybe a lot of heat, leading then maybe to just exactly excessive sweating. You're just waking up at night and you want to lie down under the fan, under the AC, and it's just so extremely hot for you continuously. That would be again too much fire. Now, what is rising this fire? Definitely like very intense way of living. A lot of duties, you are all the time on fire, literally, all the time doing. A lot of emotions, which Precious mentioned, for example, anger, being exposed to a lot of anger, to a lot of irritation. All of this is also building Pitta. And it can be also showing as a example of imbalance. If I'm getting very easily angry, someone tells me something what I don't like, and instantly I just have to shout at them, and I'm just feeling like it's an explosion happening in me. This is also telling me like, oops, too much fire, too much fire. Because maybe after a couple of minutes I will feel like, oops, what did I say? Like I feel bad. I should not have said that. But we're reacting straight away. So when we were talking that Vata mind would be always running away to the future, thinking what's gonna be, our Pitta is like literally right now, right here. Something happens, they are boom, straight away reacting. If they don't get their meal, straight away they are hungry, now they want to eat, that they have to wait, they will get very hangry, how we say it. They're hungry and angry instantly. So there is also very tiny bit of patience, let's say. So very impatient, very angry, very like short-tempered, if it's too much of it. What kind of foods are increasing Pitta? Anything what is very spicy, anything what is hot, but also caffeine, stimulants in general. We think of stimulants, they are stimulating us, right? They are boosting our fire, they are boosting our Pitta. So stimulants and spicy food, all kind of chili, everything what feels very intense in the taste. Hot food, also alcohol. Alcohol is also a thing which is boosting Pitta and in a very unhealthy way at the same time. And other stimulants like cigarettes, this is also boosting Pitta. Now what we want to do to lower down this Pitta. Again, we just need opposite qualities. So if I have too much heat, I need to cool down. Too much lightness, I need some heaviness. Too much oiliness, I need a little bit of balancing in here from all aspects. So regarding food, we would like to have less of all this spicy, intense taste. We would go for more soothing diet. So anything what we naturally also know it's cooling. Maybe you think of coconuts or cucumbers or mint, watermelon. All these things we naturally know they are cooling. If you would be in the hot summer climate, you would feel like eating some of that because it will help us to get to state of balance. Any kind of dark leaf vegetables, any kind of kale, spinach, parsley, coriander, all these dark leafy greens will be very balancing for Pitta, so will be cooling. So we can add them in cooked form. It doesn't mean that if I am Pitta, I cannot have cooked things. I can definitely have cooked things. And in general, in Ayurveda, I would have more of the cooked things and just a bit of raw. You wouldn't have like fully raw meals throughout your days, your weeks, and so on. So even when I'm talking that not too hot, it doesn't mean that it has to be cold and from the freezer, but it should have cooling qualities. So what it means, cooling qualities, it means it wouldn't be too spicy, it wouldn't be too salty, it wouldn't be too sour. It would be more soothing, more gentle in taste. So in Ayurveda, we also have 6 different tastes. We have sweet, sour, salty, bitter, pungent, astringent. I'm not going to get too deeply into taste now because it's for another full session almost, but just to understand the concept. Each taste would include different elements in it. So sweet, for example, would be more building quality, more of the earth element. Pungent, which would be spicy, would be more of the pitta. Bitter would be more of the air element, as an example. So each of the tastes would be balancing for different doshas. So now, if I am having a lot of pitta, I want to avoid what is pungent, what is salty, what is sour. These are the most intense tastes for pitta. So you want to have less of them and have more of sweet, bitter, astringent.
Just stringent, like mild in taste.
I explain now. So I just wrote here briefly. Plus means we want more of it if we want to lower the Vata or the Pitta, and minus means we want less of it. So for our Pitta, I want less of salty. I want to minimize, of course, we need some salt in our diet, but we don't want to over salt things. And you may find that oftentimes people who have a lot of Pitta, they love to put so much salt to the food. And this is again boosting their Pitta too much. So salt in moderation, the same pungent, which means spicy. So example of pungent could be chili or black pepper or radish, anything what is spicy in taste and is gently pungent in taste, that would be example of pungent. And sour taste, you can think also of yogurt, of lemon, of any kind of pickle things. They would have this sour taste. Now, for our Vata, I'm just coming back to the topic, so sorry for jumping between things a little bit. But yeah, if I am Vata, I need to add more of the sweet taste, sour taste, and salty taste. These are tastes which are beneficial for Vata. But on the other hand, I need to lower the tastes which already have a lot of Vata, a lot of air and space element in them, which would be bitter, pungent, astringent. Bitter taste would be, as an example, we have the dark leafy greens, which I mentioned, that would have also bitter taste. That's why we're saying a little less of the raw things for our Vata, less of the salads and so on. Pungent, we already discussed, and astringent. Astringent is cierpki. We have the word for it in Polish. In English, it's not very well known word, astringent, but it's basically this taste which, like leaves kind of dry aftertaste in your mouth. Maybe you would have a pomegranate, or you would have this kind of sour cherries. You would eat it, and then it's like dry aftertaste. You can have similar dry aftertaste when you have the dry wine also, this drying taste in the mouth. So pomegranate or sour cherries, a lot of different herbs as well, would have this drying quality, astringent. Yeah? A little louder, please. Yes, for Vata, we want to have less bitter, pungent, astringent, and we want to have more sour, sweet, and salty. Yes. 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 Yes, exactly. If you are more Vata. Yeah? Okay. All right. Any questions? Pungent. It's different from warming spices also. Yeah. It's spicy in general. So like chili I gave as an example, or black pepper as an example. Or I said radish also another example. Yeah. So ginger also would be pungent in its taste. So for Pitta we can have some little ginger but moderation. Even for our Vata we can have because they need to warm up. So ginger is actually kind of exemption here. Yeah. Yeah. Any more questions? Cool. Okay, so what would I like to consume? Just to summarize for our Pitta, I want to have less salt, less spicy things, less sour things, have more of the soothing taste, more of the bitter taste, which I gave as an example, dark leafy vegetables, also different kind of beans and lentils, lot of vegetables basically. This will be more soothing for the Pitta, which is burning. And more of sweet taste. Sweet, when we say sweet, it doesn't mean having sweets and cakes and cookies. Sweet means actually that's building quality which has kapha. So actually our carbohydrates would be sweet. So our rice, our grains, all of this would be sweet in its quality. Also when you think of potatoes, that would be more of sweet thing. Milk, that would be also sweet. But then you think of yogurt, that would be more sour. So more of this soothing taste, things that would be considered sweet. And of course, natural sugars such as honey, for example, jaggery, which is unprocessed kind of sugar, that could be used as a sweet taste. But we don't want to eat, of course, any refined sugar, any sweets, unhealthy sweets. Cool. Yeah?
So for this, so because you're talking about like when it's out of balance, what you want more of and less of, but, like when you like maybe identify more with that element because of your body composition and stuff like that, like you either like the things you should have more of, or do you like the things you should have less of?
Yeah, so that's a nice question. Like if we have what do we want? We would get to this at the summarization actually after the third dosha. But she's basically asking what do we want to do? Like do we want to have one more, one less of the doshas, or we want to have them the same kind of? This definitely we'll discuss later, like in more detail, but definitely we want balance. So if I start to feel that my body, my mind send me a signal that I'm not feeling well, I'm having some health problems, that's when it means that there is too much of something. But if I'm having, let's say, strong pitta, I'm really confident and strong, I'm having a lot of energy, but feeling well, not exploding with anger, not feeling hot all the time, then that's great. Then my pitta can be stronger and I can function very well. Just if it will reach certain level which disturbs my life, that's when we need to react. And of course, we will need to think later on what we need in our life in this time. There can be periods that you need some extra pitta. Maybe you're starting your business, you started to really build your career. That's when you need some extra fire, maybe. Maybe you will be writing a book. Then you need some extra creativity to think, to create. And then we'll be in Kapha as well, which would be more of this nurturing, more of the support, stability. Maybe you have a family, you want to be really supportive to them, serving them, giving them time, giving them attention, being really this pillar of support to them. That would be time when it's really great to have extra of Kapha. Okay, so let's continue. What kind of oils we want to have when we have a lot of Pitta? We want to have a little less oils than we had in Vata. That's the first thing. So Vata needs, and as I mentioned, the largest amount of oil. Pitta would be a little less, and Kapha would be the smallest amount of oils. For Pitta, as we are hot here, we want to have cooling oils. So an example of cooling oil would be coconut oil. Coconut oil, we always think of the cold pressed, again, ideally virgin, organic, that would be the best quality. And you can even see that there are so many coconuts here in Bali. They are glowing in this hot climate. They are helping us actually to cool down. So nature has this, yeah, it's just offering us its amazing wisdom, which is already there. So different fruits, vegetables, they are growing in different seasons. And that's why, again, it brings us to the seasonal things that it's very beneficial for us to eat seasonal. Because, yeah, whatever is growing in different times of the year, first of all, it will help us to get into a state of balance. And second of all, it's also fresh and it doesn't need so many chemicals to support the process of growing out of the season. Yeah. So back to coconut oil. Coconut oil is cooling. Then another example of cooling oil would be our ghee as well. It's gently cooling. I mentioned it's tridoshic. But ghee would be also good definitely for our pitta. And the olive oil. Olive oil, ideally we talk about extra virgin olive oil, which is the highest quality of the olive oil. That would be also cooling for pitta. And different oils have also different burning points. That's why we want to use certain oils for cooking, certain maybe just have them raw or just cook for cooking in the low temperature. So as an example, the coconut oil has higher burning point. You can use it for cooking in the higher temperature and it's not going to burn. But extra virgin olive oil has lower burning point. You can see you put it on the pan and actually it will turn kind of blackish. It will burn if you are starting to fry on it. So extra virgin olive oil we would use ideally or just raw on top of your soup or bread or salad, or to cook in the low temperature on the small flame in order to not burn it. Does that make sense? Cool. Okay, now herbs and spices. So if I'm Pitta, it doesn't mean that we don't want spices. We just don't want too spicy spices. Let's think of it in that way. So I don't want definitely too many chilies, too much black pepper, but I can have some of the soothing spices. So example of this cooling soothing spices could be coriander seeds. Coriander seeds are very cooling. They help us to reduce any kind of inflammation as well. So maybe if you are feeling very hot, or if you are having, as I mentioned, the urinary tract infections problem, sweating a lot, any of these Pitta symptoms, then we can maybe take around 1 tablespoon of coriander seeds. You can pour around 1 liter of the hot water over it, then let it to the essence to come out of the seeds. Once it's cooling down, then we can drink such coriander water. This is also amazing, simple solution to cool down our Pitta. Coriander in all different forms would be cooling. So also the fresh coriander leaves, as I mentioned already, all kind of dark leafy vegetables, greens, it would be cooling. Now we can also think of turmeric, which is highly anti-inflammatory. Again, turmeric is also tridoshic, so we would use it for all the 3 doshas. Highly anti-inflammatory, supporting our digestion, supporting our detoxification. Here, ginger we would like to have very, very in moderation. Definitely, our Pitta is already pungent, as we said. Tiny bit would be okay, but we don't want to keep having lots of heating spices, lots of ginger. We could have also mint, for example. We could have chamomile as a herbal tea or a mint tea. All of the soothing kind of drinks, we would also, just naturally feel they are cooling. Or rose water, if you, in some Arabic countries, for example, they use a lot of rose water as well, rose petals as well. This is also having cooling quality. And we can think also of fennel or cardamom. Fennel, Fennel. This is another also more soothing kind of spice, which you can add to cooking. Cardamom would actually have gently sweet taste as well. So at the same time, it is also good for our Pitta. I would say yes, and depends. So it can be both, definitely. It depends very much. I can say out of my own experience, at some point I was very Vata. I had the time when I was like eating only raw vegan things, a lot of raw salads, a lot of just granola, dry bars, and all the dry things. And at some point, actually, I started to feel like having maybe some pumpkin soup, some sweet potatoes. I felt like having some ginger in my food. So yes, in this moment, I had this experience that I would crave it. But also it can be, like a lot on this one side when we are really enjoying our foods, and it also depends on what happens in our mind. We can be very, like into our way of thinking that this is good for me. This is the right thing for me. And if we get very stuck in this way of thinking, we can also feel like a little disconnected from the body at the same time. So that's what would put us actually to keep falling into this imbalance. So it would depend on how much we listen to ourselves, I guess. Yeah, and how we detach from our belief systems. Yeah. So it could be also about someone who has a lot of Pitta, who loves to party a lot, go out all the time, be outgoing, have some drinks here and there, go have some nice spicy food, and so they can feel like, oh, I love this spicy food, I love this salt, I love to have a beer with my friends, I love all this way of living. So they will keep like, okay, I want more of this, I want more coffee, more coffee, more coffee. This is also like they have also this way to fall into this addictive nature, because we love the things, we love this, like I also know, because I have a lot of this in me as well, that I love food so much, I love coffee, and like all of this I can fall easily. But thanks to practice of yoga, of Ayurveda, I'm like, okay, you have to sometimes cool down a little bit, you have to observe what do you actually need and not what do you crave. So that can be different. All right. Any other questions regarding Pitta? Cool. So to summarize, our Pitta is if it's too hot, too intense, too much anger, if we cannot control our emotions, the way we express, if we cannot control this heaty energy, then we need to cool down. That's the most simple thing. So how we cool down? We reduce this what is heating us up, reduce too many spicy things, alcohol, being too much outgoing. I mean, we can still be outgoing, but we need some time in silence. So actually, it would be very beneficial for our Pitta to do some slower practice, maybe holding postures for longer time if you think of asana practice. For both, actually, Vata and Pitta, they need more of this groundedness. They need more of this earth element. And they might feel like just doing more intense things, but they need to actually approach their practice in more grounded way. So it doesn't mean they cannot do their vinyasa anymore or their ashtanga, but I would say they need to focus on the way they approach the practice. So if they love it, they can still practice their ashtanga or their vinyasa, but do it in more grounded way. So take some time to really breathe long and deep breaths, to connect the movement with the breath, to hold the postures for a little longer breaths instead of jumping quickly to the next, which can be, the tendency for someone with Pitta. And adding some of the cooling practice here and there. So maybe adding a little bit of very slow hatha or some restorative or yin from time to time. That could be very helpful for our Vata Pitta to have this more groundedness. And yeah, regarding food, we want to have more of our bitter, astringent, and what? Sweet, yes, that's the one. We want more of sweet, bitter, astringent taste. We want to have more of the dark leaf veggies, and we can have milk products as well. We don't want to have too many sour things, too many sweet things. Too many sour things, too many salty things, and too many spicy things, pungent things. So more of the cooling, implementing our cooling oils, for example, coconut or olive oil. We can also implement some of the cooling spices and herbs, chamomile, mint, rose water, coriander, fennel. All of the spices can be beneficial. Yes? You can have some kind of almond milk, for example. You can have different kind of milks, coconut milk. That could be also a vegan kind of milk, yeah. Any more questions, or shall I move to Kapha? Okay. Okay, so now our Kapha dosha. If we think of qualities of Kapha, of earth, we can think of earth as being more on the cool side, more on the heavy. It's also like steady, stable. It's not like this wind we were saying, which would blow from side to side. It's like much more firm. Stable, steady. It's also oily. So when you think of somebody with the Kapha qualities in a state of balance, or actually before balance, let's say about Prakriti. So naturally someone with Prakriti of Kapha would be this person with stronger body frame, a little bit more slow in their nature. So their nature of, Vata, Pitta, we already know it would be like all over the place a bit. Our Vata would be much more slow, much more calm, much more grounded. The same their body, maybe their body features, the facial features, you could think of larger lips, a little larger, just the body frame in general, maybe thick hair, naturally, very thick, abundant hair. And that would be example of having more Kapha qualities in the nature. If our Kapha is strong and in state of balance, this would make us very, again, strong and powerful people. So you could be very loving, very giving, very supportive for everybody. This example of Kapha would be, someone who you can always rely on. You can always go to them, ask for advice, ask for support, and they will always be there to help, to support, to listen. So they are this pillar of support, this really strong personalities. You would know that they will not change straight away their idea. They will not say, like this Vata, okay, I quit my job tomorrow, and now I go to Bali, and I do this and that. But they would be like, okay, no, I stay, I keep working on my project, step by step, I focus on it. And they will not, quickly change. So they will be always there for you. But if they, actually another quality of the Kapha can be that they are very giving. Like Earth naturally is very giving. Everything, all the life, all the nature, all the plants come out of Earth. And similarly here, someone with a lot of Kapha quality would be very giving to people around them. So always sharing love, always sharing support, always sharing their good intention with everybody around. I like to think of it also as the, grandma or a mom who's loving all her children, inviting everybody to come to have the meal with her. And she's cooking all the morning, all the time until afternoon, until everybody comes home. And then she's serving everyone like the best way she can from all her heart. And she's like really there for everybody. But then what she would eat maybe herself, just like whatever leftovers are there on the pan, she would just scrape it, put on her plate, not so nicely like for everybody. She would try to make it like a artistic plate, but for herself it's just like, it's okay, like doesn't matter much. So ultimately, they can be very loving, very giving, very supportive, but at the same time they can not give the same love towards themselves. So this can lead ultimately to a lot of unexpressed emotions which are just building up under the surface. So on the outside, they can be very smiley and happy, but on the inside, they can be some unexpressed sadness, some heaviness in the heart, some things which they just feel like, oh no, there's no point, I don't have to express it, I don't have to say about it, I just squeeze it inside. And all these squeezed, unexpressed emotions, they are kind of building up. So they are heavy emotions which are unexpressed, they also have this heavy quality. So if I'm squeezing my sadness, if somebody steps on me and I feel like telling something like, hey, you're crossing over my border, but I'm just gonna, no, it's okay, doesn't matter. I just stay quiet. This is heavy. So all this kind of heavy emotions, they are bringing more heaviness to our body. We can think of it emotionally, of course, there are more heavy emotions we're experiencing, but even the body physically becomes more heavy. Our digestion will slow down as emotions and digestion are connected. Maybe I will have few extra kilograms and I feel like I'm not eating really much, but I just cannot lose them. It's just like my body is just so heavy, so slow. Nothing is moving in it. There is not enough movement, not enough, just flow of the energy in the body, in the emotions, in the mind. So our kapha can also have strong resistance to changes as they are so stable, so steady. Our vata, our pitta can adapt much easier to changes in their life. Maybe let's say our kapha lost the job versus our vata lost the job. Vata lost the job, they would be, oh my God, I lost the job. They panic for a moment and then okay, it's fine, I find something else. They do something else. But our kapha, oh my God, I lost the job. Oh no, what to do? Oh no, and they worry. Then they find a job, but they are still, oh no, this past job. Oh my God, I lost it because of my mistake. How could I be so stupid? How could I be this and that? And they will keep staying stuck in this past. They just cannot let go of whatever already happened. So that heaviness is also coming into that aspect of life. Now, along with how we can feel physically that we have too much kapha. As I mentioned already, the digestion can slow down, can be too slow. We're not able to go to the toilet regularly. Maybe you go to the toilet every second day, every third day, struggling with constipation from time to time. Then maybe again, as I gave as an example, a few extra kilograms, which are very difficult to lose. Any kind of problems also related to the throat area. So we can think of it as an expression. We cannot express our emotions. We struggle to speak up for ourselves. To shout, oh my God, this would never happen. Like the kapha cannot shout just like always they want to be kind, they want to be sweet, they want to be calm, but they cannot like shout for themselves, which pitta can very easily, too easily. So yes, that would be about the physical thing, the throat area problems. We can think of it, as I said, emotions, but even the physical problems. So when we don't express all this stuff which is stuck there, even the physical issues can start arising. So maybe having a little lower immunity, having the throat problems, the cough, the cold over and over again, asthmatic problems, all of this also can come to the throat region problems, to the throat chakra blockage at the same time, when we cannot speak up for ourselves, when we cannot express our emotions. So we can see it from different perspectives. And we all have all these three doshas, I'm just reminding again, but different events in our life, different situations, the way how we react to things, it's all building all our samskaras, as we know from yoga philosophy. And then we keep repeating the same patterns again and again. So also the doshas, we can see similarities here with that also. So now when we think of digestive fire of our kapha is the smallest. If I would want to draw the fire, digestive fire of vata, it would be kind of irregular. Maybe one day goes up the fire, then down, very small, then again it's boosted up. It's continuously changing. Our pitta is just like shum, shum, very strong digestive fire. And our kapha is very tiny, it's just like barely burning, everything is slow. And because this fire is slow, they also, this energy level is smaller at the same time. They don't have too much energy to move, they don't feel like being too active. They would rather just maybe do very gentle practice. So if you think of the kapha person, they would like to do yin yoga every day and just be slow and gentle. When our pitta, actually, who needs some more of this yin, they would all every day want to do ashtanga and vinyasa and just be more in movement. So they need to kind of exchange a little bit. Our kapha, actually, what they need the most here is more movement. This movement, even though it will come with a big difficulty at the beginning, but it will help them to detoxify the body, to boost their metabolism, to boost their energy level. So that's the first thing which kapha needs the most, is more movement, more activity. They can still have their slow and gentle practices, definitely, but they need to mix them with something what will help them to move the stagnant energy. So it needs to be like combined. Yes, and regarding the lifestyle, as we said, that they can have this resistance to change. They are very stuck in the routine. So they have their routine, and this is the way how I start my day, how I go with the day. If something changes, then I'm getting really uncomfortable. So they need a little bit more lightness also in that. They can definitely have the routine. The routine is great to have, but without so much attachment. So yeah, kapha can have a lot of attachment, a lot of difficulty to do things differently that they like. And now let's think about the physical things. So how can we balance when there is too much of this heaviness, of this cold, of this lethargic energy? We need to boost the fire, definitely, and we need to bring that lightness. So we need a little bit more of this two opposite doshas. What we want to avoid, the tastes which we want to avoid here, it would be less of sweet taste, less of sour and salty, and more of bitter, more of pungent, more of astringent. So if you think of it, it's kind of opposite to our vata. So what means we want less sweet, we want less carbohydrates, definitely less pasta, rice, bread, cake, flour, sweets. All of this we want to have less of. We want to have also less of the cold things. So if you think of sweet and cold, maybe like ice creams, that's something what they definitely should stay away from. Any kind of cooling and just mucus causing things in general. So ice creams would be also mucus causing. Milk can be also mucus causing. So milk products, our kapha should definitely also reduce. So less milk, less carbohydrates. For kapha, it's the most important to have the most fresh food possible. So instead of having frozen things, instead of having something what is reheated, especially for several times, we want to avoid it. Ideally, if we can have a meal which is freshly cooked and consuming it right away, that would be the best. But of course, sometimes it's difficult, so we just try to aim to it. Aim towards more freshness and avoiding, just reheating or having frozen stuff. Less salt as well, because salt is causing us to retain water. Kapha can have also a problem with retaining water, as they are having problem to just make everything flow in the body properly. So less of the water, less of salt as well, and less of sour taste. And we want to bring more of that spiciness and that lightness of the Pitta and of the Vata elements. So we need more of the bitter taste. So we spoke about all the dark leaf veggies, a lot of different herbs. For example, again, turmeric could be very beneficial here for our kapha. Pungent, so anything what's spicy is really great for our kapha. Lots of ginger, some chili, some black pepper, some more of this intense taste. Cloves, cinnamon, cardamom. Again, similar spices which we had for warming up the cold vata. Also here we can warm up our cold kapha with these heating spices. And the oils for our kapha should be minimized, first of all. So we want less oily things. As we see that our kapha is oily, we want very minimal amount of oils. So we don't want to put a lot of butter, a lot of coconut oil, a lot of olive oil, really less oils. That will be helpful for kapha. And when we use oils, we will just use tiny amount of some kind of ideally heating oils. So example of oils which we gave for Vata, there would be more on the warming side. So our sesame oil, almond oil, tiny bit of ghee could be also used, but really tiny, tiny bit. Also another oil which is used for balancing kapha is mustard oil. Mustard seed oil. This oil is considered actually the most heating of all the oils which are used in Ayurveda. But we would use that's also the reason why we would use just really tiny, tiny bit of it. It's also very intense in taste. So you wouldn't put like a tablespoon of it. You would maybe put like quarter of a teaspoon or something, half a teaspoon. Just a little bit of oil would be enough. So that to summarize how we can balance our kapha. First of all, emotionally, of course, we can have this loving nature. It doesn't mean that from being more quiet, more introvert, we need to now become like Pitta, extrovert and confident. It's totally fine to be in our element, but at the same time, we don't want to just suppress the things inside. So bringing into the practice to express our feelings, to express ourselves, it doesn't mean that we have to stand up in front of huge group and speak, although it could be greatly beneficial for us. But we can start by speaking only to the people who are really connected with. Maybe we will just start to talk more openly to our family, to our friends, to a couple of people, practicing journaling, practicing expressing ourselves just more openly, connecting to the feelings which are inside and letting them to come out with more lightness instead of stuffing stuff inside and just deciding to not connect to it. And more activities, so more exercises, more movement, instead of staying in the room, not moving too much, watching TV. I would better do some little workout, maybe go for a run, go for a walk, have some more intense exercises, a little bit more intense yoga practice as well, which can be definitely still complemented by our slow and gentle practices, but we want to bring more balance to it. And diet-wise, less of the cold things, frozen things, avoiding anything what is highly processed, avoiding anything what will slow down our digestion even more. So having more of the light, spicy things with small amount of oil, less carbohydrates, less heaviness, less salt. So now if we would give example of soup, let's just look at one soup, which is, let's say, vegetable broth with a lot of spices, and then I would put some noodles, some cream into it, like make it more heavy, maybe some bread, like whatever kind of carbs into it. this would be better for my Vata because it would have this more heavy quality. But the same soup, if I just remove all this pasta and all this cream and just have my hot, spicy vegetable broth with a lot of vegetables in it, that would be much better for my Kapha. So Kapha would benefit more from such soup. And for my Pitta, on the other hand, I can still have nice soup with good quality veggies in it. I would add maybe a lot of coriander seeds. I would add a lot of fresh coriander on top. Maybe put some spinach inside, some dark leafy veggies. Not put too much chili, too much ginger, too much spices. Just have it a little more mild, more like rich in herbs instead of spicy things. Does that make sense? Cool. So of course we can think of the foods, like specific foods that, okay, I am Pitta, I cannot have chili. Or I am Kapha, I cannot have potatoes or pasta. We want to more focus on this class as is just an introductory class. We want to focus more on the qualities of the food, of the meals in general. So in general, we need all the 6 days in our diet. We would like to implement all the 6 days to our daily meals. However, we need to adapt a little bit the amount of different things. So that's what we want to take out of the class about the taste. And now that brings us to the question which we had before. What do I want? Do I want to have like 33% of each of these doshas? Do I want to have maybe some more, some less? Do I want to be like my constitution, like my prakriti? Definitely, this prakriti is something what is kind of our nature, so we will have more tendency maybe towards the sides. The prakriti can exactly tell us where we can have tendency towards. So let's say if I am born much more kapha, and now in my life I am, like there is some time of my life when I am much more active, there's a lot of things happening, a lot of work, a lot of activity, I'm more light, expressing my emotions, then this kapha is actually maybe somewhere gone a little down, I'm maybe somewhere on the Vata Pitta side, but then at some moment of my life I just get stuck in one kind of job, one kind of place, one kind of relationship, one kind of thing. Like every day I keep repeat the same routine. Then maybe I'm not so happy with whatever I do. I don't express it. So then this kapha will start growing. And at some point it can become too much. So we might have easier tendency to fall into this kapha imbalance, for example, if I am born naturally kapha. On the other hand, if I would be pitta and I would be in the similar situation, it will take me much more time to build this kapha imbalance. Does that make sense? Okay. So what we want, of course, we want balance of all the doshas somehow or the other, but we can be on one side a little bit more, so as far as it doesn't cause us any disturbances. So if I will feel that I am more pitta, but I feel really great with it, I don't have any health problems, any emotional issues, I'm feeling good by being more pitta, that's great. Awesome, we can be. There is no, need to lower it in that case. But if I will start experiencing the symptoms of getting too much into it, I will start having all the symptoms of imbalance, physical, emotional, then that's the time when we need to react, when we need to change something in our life in order to bring ourselves back to balance. And also last thing, we want to see what we need in different times of life, which I said before. Now we can see it also. That this level of doshas keeps changing throughout the year, throughout the life. Maybe in the time when it's summertime, it's hot, maybe you're more active, you are more pitta. Maybe in the winter time, you just feel like not coming out from the bed, you want to sleep longer, you have less energy. This would be our kapha time. Then maybe there is like change of season somewhere between in spring or in autumn when we are just changing, all this change, a lot of things happening in the head, lack of ability to focus, dryness on the skin and so on. So it keeps changing definitely throughout the year, through our life as well. So what we want to do, we want to keep observing this change and not get stuck into one way. So sometimes we can get very stuck into our beliefs that, all right, this is what works for me. It worked for me at some moment of life, like we asked about, I think, the herbs before. So this particular herb, particular spice, particular type of food, it worked for me greatly in my past. And I then keep doing it, and then maybe at some point I may overdo it, and it will not work for me anymore. It will actually cause me problem. So in Ayurveda, we also consider that every single thing, every food, herb, spice, everything can be a medicine, but also everything can be a poison. So it has both sides, depends how we use it, when we use it. Yeah, so Ayurveda brings us ultimately to observe, continuous observation of ourselves, and just then intellectually adapting ourselves to different changes. Any questions? Yeah?
Is it possible to have too much of multiple?
Too much of all three?
Oh yeah.
I mean, usually if there, let's say, one or two are elevated, it will mean that the other goes a little down. So, for example, if I have a lot of Pitta, a lot of Vata, maybe then I will have less Kapha a little bit. Or on the other hand, yeah, also can go opposite. But it doesn't mean that we have only one which is up. It can be definitely two which are up. In some maybe very extreme cases, could be some very big imbalance if we really just bring all of the doshas somehow into imbalance. But in general, we would have maybe tendency to have one or two which are out of balance, which are elevated. The other can be reduced, and so on. Yeah.
You also said like when you're more connected with your body, it's likely that you'll crave what you need more to find balance. You kind of say that a little bit. So like if I'm not really connected to my body and I'm super far in Pitta, then like I'll probably keep wanting spicy food and eating the hot stuff. But if I'm really connected with my body and I'm too far in Pitta, then I'll probably start craving more sweet stuff instead.
So she's asking if we are really connected with the body, will we be able to feel that we actually need different things? We'll be craving for the things which our body needs instead of craving the things which we don't need. So, for example, if I am very Pitta and I crave maybe a lot of meat, a lot of alcohol, a lot of cigarettes, a lot of coffee, if I connect with my body really, will I be able to feel that actually this is not what I need? I need a bit of opposite qualities. I fully believe that yes, because our body has its intelligence. We are already, like, we have this understanding in ourselves. If we really become able to slow down, to listen to ourselves, to observe how different foods, emotions are influencing us, definitely I believe that we will be able to understand correctly ourselves. And that's exactly what Ayurveda teaches us. It teaches us to slow down, to observe. So you can think also of the way how you are eating meals. We are inviting you to have your breakfast in silence when you are really doing only one thing at a time. So you are only eating at this moment. You're observing, feeling how different tastes of the food feels for you. How it feels also later on in your belly. Maybe you finish your meal and you feel, oops, it didn't, something is odd, something didn't work well for me. If you are more observing and seeing, then you will definitely learn from your own experience, from your own wisdom, what is working for you well, what is not working. So definitely connecting to our body, having more mindfulness, more observation, will bring us towards balance. Any last questions? So now how we can learn which dosha we are. You have a test. At the end of your book, there is a dosha quiz, which is on page 167. And we can definitely do this quiz. At the end, it will give us the number of how much Vata, how much Pitta, how much Kapha we have. It will help us to understand what is too much, what is not enough, and which kind of changes we can implement into our lifestyle, into our diet, in order to feel more in state of balance. There are also a lot of dosha quizzes online. If you ever want to find them, you can just Google the things also additionally to do the different kind of quizzes. To find your dosha. Yeah?
When you're doing this, should we think of ourselves when we were younger? Like,
Again, sorry?
when we're doing this, should we think of ourselves when we were kind of younger?
Just read the first line, I think, on top. What does it say?
Long-term patterns.
Long-term patterns.
General.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. You can think of it what happens throughout the long term. This test is made in the long-term aspect. Yeah. There would be different tests. That's why I also mentioned there is also one very nice test of Banyan Botanicals. So it's just one website online basically. It's called Banyan, like this banyan tree, Botanicals. They have one dosha quiz where you actually answer questions in two ways. So one is long term, one is right now. And you will receive two results. One would be your prakriti, so what is your constitution, and one would be your vikriti, what is now happening in your body. So if you're interested in checking different kind of tests, that would be also the one which is nice. It's called, the website is called Banyan Botanicals. All right. Can anyone tell me what time is it?
11:52.
11:52. Okay, awesome. So we can have a little break until, let's say, 5 past, 13 minutes break until 12:05, and then we can come back here.